Retail workers of Reddit, what's your Black Friday horror story? Worked at a store that had a service department. They couldn't ring up anything at the service counter, but they had a computer which made it look like a register. Guy is standing there patiently waiting to be rung up. Finally somebody notices him and asks what he needs. I'd like to pay, he says. I'm sorry, this isn't a register, replies the service tech. The guy then proceeds to try and convince the service tech to let him pay because the line for the main registers is 3 hours long. Of course the service tech couldn't because he didn't have a register. He just had a computer for making appointments and such. So after 15 minutes of argument the guy moves off to find the line. Here's the fun part. While he was arguing somebody else saw him standing by something that looked like a register and so got in line behind him. Then people saw the shorter line and got in behind them. With nobody to control it, the line to nowhere grew quickly. 15 minutes was all it took for the not line to snake all the way around the department. So when the doofus who started this whole fiasco went to find the right line, he found the end of the line he had started. Then the guy behind him heard that there wasn't a register, so he followed the first guy. Then the next customer followed the second and so on. They walked around in a circle for an hour before somebody noticed them. We almost had a riot when a manager had to tell 100 people that they weren't in line and had just waited an hour for nothing. That same year we had several scuffles at points where the register line had forked into 2 lines. From then on we marked off a huge register path and had several employees just manage the line. I feel marginally bad for those people, but this story also is the best thing I've ever heard. Worked at Walmart years ago. One of my mangers thought she was being sneaky and swapped my Black Friday off shift with an on at 9 AM. My shifts normally didn't start until 1 and ended at 9, so this was utter nonsense. I was in the bakery department and had to work all of Thanksgiving the day before, and they ended up needing more help. I came in at 6 AM that day and worked a 14-hour shift because most of my team had been given the holiday off. My manager's excuse being, "You're young. They have families they need to be with and kids to celebrate with." So I was pretty angry. I found out that the Black Friday sale was a 65-inch LCD TV and electronics and PS3s, so needless to say it was going to be a bloodbath. I stayed in my department because there was literally no one else there and caught up on much needed sanitation. When the manager found out before the sale started, she came my way to rain down fire, brimstone, and nonsense on me. Thankfully, I could use their own stupid policies against them. There needs to be at least one member of the bakery crew on hand to write on cakes, and since I was the only one there, they were out to luck. I got out of Black Friday nonsense, got an easy day of work, and the perfect spot to watch the chaos all while messing with a manager I hated. It was a beautiful day. I had a manager schedule me to work Thanksgiving after I requested off and got approval. I didn't show up or call in that day, showed up the following day for my normal shift, and the little Weasley manager that scheduled me says he wrote me up. I asked what that meant, and he said after 3 write-ups I'm fired. I said, "Oh cool, so I can now call no show one more time." About 15 years ago, I was working at a bookstore in a mall. Somehow, around 5 PM maybe, I found myself the only employee in the entire store, not a single coworker to be found, and we were slammed with customers. We usually had music playing in the store, controlled by an ordinary 5 CD stereo in the back office, and of course this is the day the inoffensive holiday music gets brought into circulation. Around the time I found myself alone, I noticed the stereo had become stuck on repeat, just playing the same song over and over. It was at least an hour before I was able to get away from the counter, and so that was the day I was forced to listen to some kind of generic, a very jazzy jinglable some 30 times back to back. You think that's bad? They were doing roof work at my grocery store, and one of the workers askewed the satellite for our satellite radio on like December 6th. So 4 Christmas songs got stuck on a loop, and maintenance was too busy running around all the different stores in our region to come out and fix it until February. We worked for like 2 solid months, listening to the same 4 freaking Christmas songs. And it wasn't even good Christmas songs. It was that stuff that people write because someone thinks the world needs more freaking Christmas music. And every time we tried to turn the radio off, Inevitably corporate would show up the same freaking shift and threaten to write people up if there wasn't any gosh darn Christmas music playing. I work at Target in electronics. I get a commercial for Yokai Watch, iHeartRadio, Kevin James' new show, and then Neil Patrick Harris talking about Halloween. Every 5 minutes it loops, and it's on 30 TVs all slightly off sync. It's torture. But hey, no Christmas music. Haha, my manager switched one of my shifts thinking they were sneaky, but it's not, like I could change it anyways. I worked late on Thanksgiving, 5:45 PM to 1 AM, and I was supposed to have Friday off. Nope. Checked it again, and had to open at 6:30 AM on my own. I posted Black Friday story here, somewhere. I'm off on Saturday, which is today where I'm at, and then I work Sunday. I don't work in retail, I work in an office. There's this lady that has 2 kids. She is the only one with young kids, and expects me to give her the day before and after a holiday off, because her kids are off school. It backfired on her this year, because she decided to pull a stunt and now doesn't have paid time off. She came in begging me to give her some of my PTO hours, so she can have Christmas week off. Her thinking was, well, AKP 1, 2, 4 doesn't have kids, so why does she need the 100 plus PTO hours she has saved up? She even went up to our CEO to try and convince her to give her the week off. She was told no. So now I'm fully expecting her to call in sick those days. At the restaurant I work at, I get they have kids, they deserve to have the holidays offline. F that, I've worked there every single holiday for the last 3 years. No way I'm letting someone who has worked here less than 3 months off get away with not working any holiday. I've always hated the "you're young" nonsense. I was complaining to some old co-workers of mine that my boyfriend's job at the time was making him do 12-hour shifts for 3 to 4 days, then 2 to 3 9-hour shifts, which doesn't include the overtime he did. Got told he could handle it because he's young despite the sleeping problems and physical/mental health problems. What kills me too is these people who told me that were very overweight and ate nothing but junk, and I got to hear how hard and miserable they had it. I worked at Toys R Us some years ago. No standout bad customers, but it surprised me how many parents brought their young children out at 3 AM and then got mad and would yell at their children for whining/crying because you can't get any toys. Christmas is next month. Ask Santa. Your kid is exhausted and you drag them to a toy store. Of course they're gonna be ticked off. Working there really changed my perspective from being annoyed at rotten kids in public to being annoyed at rotten parents. I saw a woman on Facebook tonight complaining about a local Walmart employee checking her bags and asking out loud if she had item X on her receipt while looking at it, and telling Walmart corporate that they ruined Christmas because her daughter was standing right there and had no idea she was getting item X. This took place after midnight. The kid shopped with the parent and stood in line with this cart full of stuff, presumably. I just don't freaking get it, man. Had someone unfriend me on Facebook a few years back because she was bragging about taking out her month-old daughter for her first Black Friday shopping experience. It was freezing cold, like single digits. I called her out because there is absolutely no reason to take a child that young out at those types of temperatures, especially to an outdoor outlet, unless you absolutely have to. She blew up on me and hasn't talked to me since, and I'm really glad. It was technically the day after Black Friday, but it was still busy as all heck. I worked as a customer service supervisor at a Camp USA before they closed down. Think Best Buy, and all of my checkers called in sick that morning. All of them. So I'm the only freaking one ringing people up for the first like 6 hours of the day. When I finally got a 15-minute break, I went into the back area and blew up at the first manager I could find. I was so ticked off and stressed. He just sat there and let me vent to him. After a little while I went back to him and apologized to him, and he was cool with it all. That date sucked. I bet those cashiers never made eye contact with you again. Oh yeah, and another one of the cashiers actually came in during a later part of the day wanting to get his paycheck. I just looked at him while in the middle of ringing up some people's stuff and told him to find a manager to get it. I would not have been that calm. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, Please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.